Okay, I think we are good. I think it's pushing. Yep, we are good. Officially live. Welcome, everyone, to yet another edition of the 4GwQPodcast podcast. This is episode 197. We're almost at 200, everybody. Almost at 200. Today's date, February 7th, 2019. Glad to have you guys with us for another week of this show. This week we actually have 4 people, so that's exciting. Let me introduce everyone. I am, of course, Mike, also known as Inferno217. But with us this week, we have a very special guest joining the podcast for the first time, but not a stranger on the Twitter community, certainly not a stranger on social media, as that is essentially his job at WarHorse Studios. It is Rick Lagnese. What's going on, man?
Dude, fantastic pronunciation of my last name. Perfect, bro. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me. Good times, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely wanted to get you on for a little while. I know you've been really busy, especially lately, with the new DLC, which we'll let you talk about in just a second here. But really appreciate you taking some time. I know you got some short time here with us, so want to get through these introductions really quick. Of course, we also have with us this week, making his 197th straight appearance at ZBCI Assassin. What's going on, man?
Stop.
Oh, geez. You know, honestly, never change. When we get to 200, you're going to change that intro, right? That's what you said. Every 100 episodes, you're going to change that intro of yours?
Sure. Why not?
All right. Okay, so last but not least, we, of course, have Italian Clowns. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
Nothing much, man. Nothing much. Just got a few topics this week. I don't know. This week has had a lot of, I don't know if it has a lot of topics or just some big hitting ones we want to get into. Get the big hitters done quickly, so that we can have Rick here for the whole show. But before we do, let me just say we want to thank the Inner Circle Network, because we are one of their affiliate podcasts. And they've taken us kind of under their wing, and they have a few other affiliate podcasts you guys should check out. So link is down in the description below for the Inner Circle Network, and you can go there for some of Clowns' material. He writes for that site off and on here, and some other podcasts that are pretty good. So definitely go over there and check that out. All right, so Rick, I know you've been really busy. I know, it's almost the 1-year anniversary of your show, of your game, which is crazy. I feel like that game just came out. Tons of awards, unfortunately snubbed at the Game Awards, unfortunately. But the show must go on, and you guys have been just putting out content left and right. So give us a little bit of an update here on what's going on with Kingdom Come.
Yeah, so there is a lot going on. We just released our 3rd DLC, which is Band of Bastards. And that, for those who don't know, it's out on Steam and consoles, which is great, Xbox and PlayStation. And so what else? We just released another, we used to call it Combat Academy, but it's called Fechtbook, which is a German. But it's our like how we actually implemented combat into the game, and we actually have like professional swordsmen, like master swordsmen who did the animations, the green screen or whatever. And so we showed how the historical European martial arts fit into the game. And preparing for PAX, and for the 1-year anniversary, we have some cool little, small little surprises, or just little things, like nothing major, but like just something cool for you guys, for the fans, a year in. And we are always busy, because now this is released. So now we're working on patches. We just came out with a patch, but we're still always trying to make it a better experience. And then we have the women's lot, which is coming out. My goodness, who knows when, but it'll come out eventually. So yeah, we got a lot going on.
Awesome, man. Yeah, honestly, the game's only a year old, but it feels like you guys have pushed so much stuff. And I know people, I've heard some people around the community and some other podcasts talk to you about kind of like what's next for WarHorse specifically. If you guys are going to do like a sequel, or if you're working on something else. I know you probably can't divulge too much about that, but Is the future looking like it's just going to continue this maybe for like another year and then work on something new or work on a sequel, or is there like a further plan for Kingdom Come?
I mean, it's no secret we're going to have a future. I mean, we're not only here to make one game, you know?
Yeah.
Which is awesome. However, the focus is like, so we have a lot of, content that we put out since release, and, we are still trying to make the first game a better experience. So sometimes when you fix some bugs, other things happen, and we're really trying to tweak it. So our real focus is on the DLC and patching the game. So we just released Band of Bastards and the documentary, and then next is A Woman's Lot, and that'll be where the people actually, fans or backers more specifically, will finally get to see the dog companion in the game. So that's what we're really focusing heavily on now, and that's where it's going to be for a little while.
Awesome. Nice. Are you going to have, at PAX this year, you're going to have a guy walking around like in chainmail and stuff like you did last year?
And we always have something up our sleeves, man. We'll see.
All right. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, yeah.
Assassin.
You guys ever see that too, man? We don't just like have them walk around. Sometimes we have them fight. Sometimes we get yelled at, though. And they're like, guys, that's a little much. I'm like, okay, well, hey, at least we got it on video. You know what I mean? We were there.
Exactly. Exactly. You gotta get that stuff on video, share it out to everybody, and that's how you attract people to your booth, man. Those places are cutthroat. Those places are huge. There's like so many booths and stuff. You gotta attract people somehow, and that was like a perfect way. You guys actually had pretty good position last year, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, we did, man. And it's I love PAX, man. I love going to PAX. It's a little smaller scale, of course, but that's why I like it too. Get to see more of you jabronis,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, guys, check this out if you haven't. The DLC is out, really, really fresh. So, and getting really good reviews. I checked it out on Steam, and you yourself, Rick, have been tweeting out some of the positive reviews the DLC specifically has been getting. So definitely being well received, and you guys should all definitely, check it out. Even though it didn't get, the recognition it should have at the Game Awards, it's gotten recognition, other places, and definitely has the recognition of gamers. So you guys should definitely, go check that out. And Assassin, I know you want to, dress up in some chainmail at PAX and work for WarHorse, right? I know you're like 6'5", so you'd be perfect for that.
Oh wow,
that sounds fun. Dressing up in chainmail. Not every day you get to do that. I'm just saying.
This kid's
Can we see him joust?
I don't know.
Is that a no?
Only if you can do it two clowns. Like, I would see that. Like to see that.
Okay, you guys can have a one-on-one showdown, until they kick us out.
I think, though, Rick, I think I'm too short, though. Assassin's a lot taller, so it'd be easier for me to win, because I could just duck.
I could crouch.
Okay. That'll work.
Dude, honestly, I think... I don't think that would be fair, because, you'd be able to duck, but, like, Assassin would be able to take that and just, like, go, like, directly down above, like, in between your armor and your body. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be, like, a straight on. Like, that armor wouldn't really work too well if you could just... Because, Assassin, with your reach, you're probably, like, 8 feet tall, right? I mean, you're just an absolute animal, aren't you?
Sure.
Man, you're inspiring,
No words of wisdom right there from Assassin. Sure.
It's awesome.
Oh man! All right, let's get into the first topic. Other than Kingdom Come, we got a few topics here. We want to get Rick's take on everything, because Rick is also a gamer, not just public relations frontman. So let's get into the first thing. This is probably not like the most heavy-hitting topic of the week, which will probably come next, but it is, I think, a pretty big topic, and came, I think, a little bit before the launch of Apex Legends, which we'll get into in a little bit. But so OpenCritic, which is the kind of alternative, less notorious, should I say, version of Metacritic, which is we're a contributor on there. A few of the other podcasts you people might listen to have contributions on OpenCritic, which is a good thing, getting more of the voice of the gamers and not so much dependent on the huge publications, so to speak. But OpenCritic is now flagging games that use microtransactions, and they do so with like 3 criteria, and I'll read them right now. So they look for the following things. They look for unknown random rewards. They look for monetized rewards, and they also flag it if it specifically has encouraged use. So they say if users are encouraged to acquire and consume loot boxes during the course of like normal gameplay, if it's actually pushed very heavily to do it, I mean, you don't necessarily need it, but you're very highly encouraged, it will, OpenCritic will now flag that. And we have a picture of that right now up on the screen here of what it looks like on the game we're going to get to in a second, Apex Legends, which just came out. But, Rick, I'm not really sure how you really feel about microtransactions. I know it's a little bit of a controversial topic, but now, obviously, even some of these review websites are thinking that it should probably be noted at least so people are aware of it. What are your thoughts on it? So,
the first and foremost, I'm kind of neutral about it, but then again, I also, I see there's pros and cons to everything. But at the bottom line is, I ultimately don't have a problem with it as long as it doesn't give you an advantage or the upper hand. I really don't, because it's optional. So you could put 1,000 microtransactions. It doesn't mean I'm going to buy one of them, or maybe I will buy a few. But as long as it doesn't give you upper hand, I'm totally cool with it. I definitely think that, it's look at how many studios have been shutting down, and some other studios need to also find ways to stay afloat sometimes. When your game releases, you come out with content and stuff, but you still have people you got to pay, you still have overhead, you still have this, that, and the other thing. So, and obviously you're still trying to sell copies, but then your games are going on sale quicker, right? Mm-hmm. So there's that too. So I think that, I definitely don't think they should be taken away, of course, and they won't. They're never going to go, because they're very profitable for a lot of companies. Now, again, we don't have them as WarHorse Studios. I just don't have a problem with it as long as, again, it's not going to affect me playing multiplayer against someone else, or someone else gets the other hand. That I'm not cool with.
So do you think that because of that feeling and what you've said, do you think that this is a bad move for OpenCritic to kind of flag it? So it's kind of like not like a stain on it, but I mean, it is front and center when you go and you look at these games that do have them, and now OpenCritic is kind of taking it upon themselves to give it kind of like a stain right away before you even read a review or whatever. It's right there. So do you think this is kind of a bad move? It's like selling it short a little bit, or what do you think?
And I think there's pros and cons to what they're trying to do. Ultimately, I don't know. I probably have my own little flags, question marks about that, whatever. But people have to look into games themselves, and rather than just, trying to judge what they see by microtransactions. But I know that it's a very difficult thing to talk about, and some people always hate it. But again, when you talk to people who are living busy lives, then they can, not spend hours and hours to level up, and maybe they're playing a game that's not going to hurt anybody. Especially again, if it's not hurting, getting you a tactical advantage or whatever in multiplayer, then I just don't have a problem with it. And I just hope that, something like this, like you said the word stain, I'll be honest with you, I haven't looked into this a ton, but it's definitely things, something people are talking about. So with OpenCritic, I'm kind of undecided, but I also think that I don't know. I'm kind of a little hesitant about it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Clowns or Assassin, what do you guys think? I know, Clowns, you're the one who really kind of brought this to my attention first and foremost about having this on the show to talk about it. So do you have strong feelings about this? I know you're usually kind of a fan of microtransactions, whether serious or not. I'm not really sure, but oftentimes you are a fan of it. But do you think OpenCritic's taking it a little too far, or do you think this is fair to warn people about this thing?
I think it's just the political environment that we're in right now.
Yeah.
So I think OpenCritic's taken that step just in case of anything going forward. And I get it. It makes sense because European countries are, they're cracking down on some of this stuff, making rules and regulations in different territories and countries. So it makes a lot of sense for OpenCritic to do that. I, however, am not bothered by loot crates. I'm kind of neutral, just like Rick stands. I think everything's okay in moderation, and I think at the end of the day, I do understand that some people have a really heavy gambling addiction. I get that, but I think at the end of the day, sometimes we have to be responsible for what we do in the game. If I was to go blow $100 in microtransactions, my wife's going to get angry with me because that's going to affect our household. So that'd be my fault that I did that.
Right.
And that's just how I feel about it. I enjoy microtransactions. I enjoy different skins. I don't mind dropping $10 $10 on a random loot crate or $5 on a random loot crate here and there. I like to support the developers. I think it's a lot of work that goes into these games, these studios that gotta publish them, market them. I just think at the end of the day, microtransactions can be beneficial, and the user has to be responsible and aware of what they do.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I don't know how many people are really not necessarily at this point caught off guard by microtransactions in the game. I think they're easy to recognize. I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but when I think of does OpenCritic need to do this in order to raise awareness because people are just not recognizing it, I think people recognize it and know exactly what they're doing. You know what I mean? I don't necessarily think that people go in and see these things and buy them and not know exactly what they're doing and exactly what they're there for. They're not, $20 for like a skin in Fortnite doesn't give you any kind of advantage, or like, with Battlefront, if you bought packs to maybe get an advantage for your favorite character and then end up not getting it back when Battlefront 2 had those awful microtransactions at the beginning, they're not putting those in the game for you to buy for your advantage. They're doing it for themselves. They're doing it for their, for you to get addicted to doing that potentially, and for you to give them more money. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like more informed when I look at these things than some people, but I don't think I am. I think most people do know what's going on.
I mean, you can think about it that way in a sense as far as getting addicted, but then every time I walk in the grocery store, there is a lottery machine, right? And it says you have to be 18 to buy it, but any kid could walk up with like a dollar bill and stick it in there. And I think most of the employees are just going to overlook it. They're not going to say anything. That's a good point. So, I mean, this type of random transaction has been around a long time in the forms of lottery, coin slots, betting in sports. So, I mean, as a society as a whole, is that really shocking that this type of culture is brought into video games? I mean, it's beneficial for states with the lottery system.
And what do you guys think about the business perspective side of it from the companies? What do you think these gaming companies, their opinion's going to be? What about the smaller studios that might want to try have microtransactions or whatever? Like, what do you think they're going to think about this?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, I think the smaller studios unfortunately can't necessarily get away with it. I don't know if that's Siri's going off. I don't know if that's necessarily a fair thing, because I think, if there's value, I think that companies should be able to try to do it, and if people perceive that value, then they should spend their money accordingly. But I think if smaller companies try to do it and it's perceived as bad value, it'll completely destroy a game. Whereas with some of the AAA titles, like, it doesn't necessarily destroy it. I mean, they get a black eye here or there, especially Battlefront 2. I don't necessarily think that game was, destroyed. I mean, did it not hit sales numbers because of the microtransactions things? I believe that's part of it. But it wasn't, a huge failure for EA necessarily, but for smaller guys, if you miss on implementing microtransactions, you're screwed, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's what I meant, and I think that if the general consensus for now is that there's a negative connotation on these microtransactions, then when you have the flags, it's going to more look like a red flag.
Absolutely. Yep.
And that's the problem, I think.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at this picture, I'll bring it up a little bit bigger right here. If you look at this picture, like, go to this article on OpenCritic about it, how they explain, why they're doing this and whatever. And, that's their prerogative, whatever. Do that. It's your site. But, just because it's not a red bar here with the note about microtransactions doesn't mean it doesn't catch your attention. I mean, it's orange. It's close enough to red. It looks like a bad thing. It's like a warning. Orange, red, those kind of colors are warnings. It's not like it's, green with flowers around the border. It's a warning, like, this is a bad thing. So, and that's not necessarily fair,
And, at the same time, there's something that Rick mentioned I want to bring up. He mentioned, like some of the smaller studios. And I kind of think it's like a 50-50 thing. I think smaller studios should be able to get away with it without having a black eye or being blemished.
Right.
Only because it takes so much time and effort to make these games. Longer dev cycles because graphics have increased, the power has increased, the software has gotten so much more complicated. At the same time, it's easier, but I mean, like, it just takes longer and more code to make something so epic. And then in as little as 6 months, your game could go from $60 down to like $30. And that can hurt a lot of smaller studios, especially if they start out at a $20 price point. You know, in a few months, they might be down to $10, $5.
Yeah. With you.
Yeah. I mean, it's good. It's a good point. It's a good point. I just think that, you know, and you know, I just think that kind of relates to with smaller indie developers and smaller titles in general. You know, I think those companies also get hit hard when their games are not priced the perfect amount, right? It's like they get hurt the most too. Like if a AAA title is priced for $60, like Madden, for example, when that first comes out, like some people crap all over it, but a lot of people still buy it. Or like, you know, a Call of Duty without a single player. I'm not in that camp, but I mean, you know, some people say that wasn't worth $60, but millions of people went out and bought it, made it the highest selling game. So, but like with an indie title, like they see microtransactions, people may say, "Oh, forget it," and then it's buried. Or, you know, they'll see that the game is like $40 and they'll be like, "Oh, this is a $20 game," and they'll just say, "Forget it," you know, without necessarily giving it a chance or what have you. So I think, you know, the small companies just have to be a little more careful, and it's not necessarily fair. But I mean, you make great points, Clowns. I think that, you know, it could be more vital for the smaller companies than it is the bigger ones, but they can get away with it less. But real quick, let me go to the chat before we get assassinated on this. Samuel Tolbert, Tick Guy, coming in to the chat. Thanks for being here, saying, "It's tough. I'm concerned about the ramifications, but until there's some sort of standard, I think what OpenCritic is doing is appropriate." I mean, it may be appropriate for informational sake, but it's also, like we've kind of been saying, I think it's also, you know, it also can hurt a game in a way that, you know, necessarily isn't fair because, you know, like Rick opened this topic with, it's microtransactions are completely optional and a lot of them are cosmetic. And yeah, it could be encouraged to have better looking outfits, but at the same time, you know, that doesn't necessarily change the gameplay. Same like with Fortnite, you know, a lot of people associate cosmetics and microtransactions with that, but you don't need that. You can roll in with the standard guy and dominate, you know, so. Anyway, Assassin, haven't heard from you on this. What do you think?
I think games that have like pay-to-win mechanics, like Battlefront 2 when it first came out, should just have that badge. I think games like Fortnite shouldn't they should have like a description, like a box or somewhere, just saying, you know, microtransactions, and then like just show like a screenshot. You know, it doesn't affect gameplay and stuff, but it's not like a huge, you know, a thing on your, you know, your review or, you know, your game or whatnot. So then, you know, people still know, but it's not like you're scrolling through all these, you know, reviews and be like, oh, it has a whatever symbol, game sucks, you know.
Yeah, that would have been bad. That would have been bad if you could just scroll through and it had that badge like on the screen with like a list of all the reviews. That would be pretty bad, I think. You know, at least it makes you go into the review and check it. But yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily like how OpenCritic like has 3 different levels, and even if there's a little bit of it, they'll still flag it. You know, unknown random rewards. Like, I don't know. But I mean, it is their prerogative, and we're just gonna have to go with it. I still like OpenCritic; we are a contributor to them, but I don't know. Like we've been saying, it kind of can flag games and make them look bad when they shouldn't. All right, I think that's about it on that. Let's move on to the game that is in question here, which is Apex Legends. So this game kind of popped up out of nowhere, right? We kind of had an idea Respawn was maybe working on something. We didn't know what it was. Some people thought it was Titanfall 3. Some people said there's never going to be another Titanfall. Lo and behold, this thing gets announced, released essentially same day or next day, kind of leaked out, and then you know, gets the reveal and it's launched like 20 minutes later or what have you. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how much you've played of this, Rick, but I know we've played a bunch of it, and I don't know if it's good enough for me to think that Titanfall 3 shouldn't be a thing, because essentially they've kind of already said that Titanfall 3 is like shelved in order to develop this game, so, or a shelved for now, but that's sad to me.
Well, so I didn't honestly play much Titanfall 2 at all. I don't know, I just didn't. But I loved the first Titanfall. And when I played Apex, now correct me if I'm wrong here, but it's actually not as fast paced. Like, I don't feel like I can jump off the walls and stuff as smooth. Am I wrong about that? Like, I just feel like I thought this was more of like, and I'm so ignorant of like, this is definitely not in the Titanfall universe, right? Like, it's totally separate.
Mm-hmm.
But isn't it supposed to have, I don't know, maybe I think I had the wrong expectations going into Apex. Like, I was thinking that it's like Titanfall without Titans, but it's really, there's some similarities, but it's really not. But the other, on another flip side, I haven't really gotten into many Battle Royale games at all. I don't like Fortnite. I tried that for 2 minutes. I didn't give it enough of a chance, to be fair, but I don't like it. I don't want to build anything. I don't want to die over and over again. I like being punished. If you suck, you should be punished.
Yeah.
So I love the one life deal. I love survival. Your one life, you're done. That's it. So I've been playing PUBG, and I just got into it this past week. And I don't know why, because I love Ghost Recon, Rainbow Six. I love those games. I don't like Call of Duty. I just don't like that style. But so anyways, playing Apex and PUBG, like, it's actually a pretty good mix, totally different styles. And I do like Apex, though. I have a lot to learn with it. But I expected it to be more like, feel like the Titanfall type deal without Titans. But that was just because I was ignorant, I guess, of the concept. So
no, I think a lot of people expected that. I mean, people aren't necessarily glued to the internet watching these reveal things either. They just hear this is a game. It's from the people who made Titanfall. It's a battle royale. Go. They think of that, and then they know that it's kind of inspired from Titanfall. The map that is available right now, there's only one map available. That map is like very heavily Titanfall inspired. You may recognize parts of that from Titanfall. And they expect like wall running, they expect the wall running just like you. They expect the increase in speed by chaining wall runs and jumps and chaining stuff like that. They expect firing in a lot in midair or grapples and stuff like that. I mean, there are grapples in this game, but it's not nearly as fast as Titanfall. I mean, Assassin, I mean, I know you weren't expecting that, but do you feel that it's kind of like a good balance between Titanfall and Call of Duty, or do you feel that it's too much like Call of Duty, or how do you feel about the game? Do you feel it's not enough Titanfall?
Well, first off, I'm glad there's no wall running, right? Like, in the Titanfall universe, the only people who could wall run were the pilots of Titans, right? And we're not Titan pilots, so I mean, we are these like individuals which have some abilities which I don't care for. But for the wall running, like that, just imagine how annoying that would be. Like having someone chain walls and then you just come and like you don't even know what would happen, right? Because you would just be dead, or someone would be behind you and you couldn't hear them. Or I just feel like that just wouldn't be fun. And I think they even came out saying that they tried it and it just wasn't fun. Like. I think with all the zip lines and the balloons that just make you fly and all the giant cliffs and stuff, I think it's just better than just wall running.
Yeah, I think the wall running could have been interesting because it could have made it a little more fast paced than it is. I mean, I think it is already pretty fast paced for a battle royale game, just because we've been exposed to stuff like PUBG, like Fortnite. Even Blackout's a little faster than those other two games, but Blackout matches can still last pretty long if you play like hide and go seek. I think it would have been interesting. I think there is an opportunity there for them to add in a mode with wall running to see just balls to the wall, for lack of a better term, battle royale mode where you really have to be on your toes to defend yourself. So I think that's definitely in the cards, but we'll see the direction that they take it. I do happen to like the game, but I think the fact that Respawn has never made a game like this, I think definitely shows, because there's stuff like weapon balancing problems that need to be addressed, and some meta play styles that are just extremely overpowered at this point. But what's nice is that they announced it, they released it, they're committed to making updates, but they just need to be, I hope they're just committed to making updates like the other big giants. I think the PUBG style of updating is now outdated, and I think that's what's kind of hurting it recently. But Fortnite and Blackout have been updating pretty frequently, and I think Apex, if they do that, they'll be successful. Clowns, you've been playing a little bit of it. What did you happen to think when you tried it out?
I actually love this game. I've been playing a lot with Assassin and Yeti, and then sometimes solo. To be honest with you, I think the game is great as it is. The only thing I think they need to fix would be maybe like the latency. I think there's some latency there. But as far as the characters, I don't see any overpower. As far as the weapons, I don't see any imbalance either. I think that, all the weapons should have an option for energy shots. That would kind of make it more fair, but I'm having a lot of fun. I've won a lot of matches. I really can't complain about the game. And right now, I wouldn't want them to add in all that wall running. I kind of like the pace it's at. I feel like it's a little bit slower pace than Titanfall 2 or Titanfall 1, and that's what I like about this. I like the no fall damage. I like sliding down hills. I'm just having fun with the characters and the special abilities. I really love, I believe his name is Caustic and the Wraith. I like just their functionality and what they can do. I'm just having a ton of fun with this game. And one thing I really want to say about this that I think that Respawn did an excellent job of, and you don't see this in many multiplayer games, the ping system in Apex Legends is excellent. You can go through a whole match and not even have to talk. So for people with accessibility issues, this is great. You can use the ping system to spot enemies, to direct where your characters are going, things that you need. You don't even have to say a word, and everybody can understand each other.
Yeah, I mean that they have taken it to the next level on that. I mean, if you haven't checked the game out enough to see how the spotting is, I mean, I would highly recommend you go in there and check that out, because the spotting and the ping system, like you said, is very, very informative and very intuitive, and I think that that's going to be the standard going forward. I think that's a huge redeeming feature of this game. Actually, story time really quick. I promise I'll keep it short. I was playing in a trio with Assassin and Yeti the other night, and Assassin's party chat just crapped out. Remember this, Assassin?
Oh my god, that annoying bug where I can't press the Xbox button because it doesn't work type situation.
Exactly. So we're inviting him to party to join back, and he can't even join back because the Xbox button just will not work. So he can't even accept the invite, so we're getting in firefights and stuff, and all we're doing is spotting. Like, all we're doing to communicate is spotting. We actually finished in second, and we could have finished in first if the last team wasn't fully alive, because it was down. I think it was down to like me and you, Assassin, versus the last team, and then you went down. But if it were 2-on-2, I think we definitely could have had it. But even so, I mean, try doing that in PUBG. Try doing that in Fortnite. Like, it's way more difficult, I think, in those games to communicate in such a basic way, but in the same time informative.
Another thing I want to say about that too is
please.
that I think not only from an accessibility point for people with speech difficulties, but for people that speak different languages as well. I mean, you can go on this game and not even understand a word of German. You could ping something and play with somebody who, is playing in Germany on their console, and it makes sense, the ping system, because I'm sure it's in their native language.
Good point.
Yeah, excellent point. Excellent point. I think it just opens it up for a huge variety of gamers because, some people just don't like to go on microphones. Some people like to play in squads. I mean, that's the only option in this game right now. But a lot of people like to play in squads and just don't want to throw a mic on because maybe they're younger or maybe they don't want to get their voice made fun of or whatever. And they can still communicate in a meaningful way. I think that's a good point. Very good point. But the thing I kind of want to get into this for this game before we kind of get off this topic and get into the next one is the fact that Titanfall 3 was essentially shelved for now, at least. I mean, we can't say it's definitely out of the picture, but for now, this took the place of Titanfall 3 in Respawn's development mind space. And so what did you guys think of that when you guys heard that information that, essentially a successor to a franchise that has, been a big franchise for first-person shooters in this generation specifically, essentially has come to an end for them to move on to something else because of whatever reasons, maybe because Titanfall 2 didn't get good reception because the beta was no good or didn't sell well for whatever reason. Like, are you guys okay with something like that, or you think it's just a sign of the times? Battle Royale is just a popular thing right now, and they just want to cash in on that. What do you guys think?
Well, he did actually say, Vince Zampella said that they are doing something with Titanfall. He actually said something. I'm trying to find it. He said we are also working on more Titanfall for later in the year. Mm-hmm. So I wonder what that even means, but we haven't seen the end of whatever he's talking about. I wonder if there actually will be a Titanfall, some kind of crazy Titanfall Battle Royale or something. But he definitely said something about it. So, you know what? Samuel Tober in the chat pointed out there's been 10 million players, on Apex Legends. They're not doing anything wrong, and what, regardless of why. So another thing is, how many people actually played Titanfall 2 and then they want a Titanfall 3? It's like, wait a minute, did you actually play the second one?
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
Oh, no way, man. They're not going to change a thing because 10 million players, you're going to keep doing what you're doing. And he even said Titanfall is going to be on its way, something. So I think they're doing the right thing.
Yep, good points. I mean, me personally, I'm just like upset about it because I like Titanfall 2, but like you said, like people didn't vote with their dollars. So I mean, it is what it is. So it is what it is. Assassin Clowns, you guys think like Rick does, this is the right move, even though some of us liked Titanfall a lot, or do you think that do you think that what's coming next is an actual Titanfall, like a full-fledged Titanfall game, or do you think maybe it's just a mode for this game that introduces more Titanfall elements, maybe like Titan specials or like wall running or something of that nature?
It sucks that we probably won't get a Titanfall 3, but I mean it's nice that they can work on other projects. Like we don't, like with Treyarch, we don't want they always make Call of Duties, right? And that's all they make. It would be nice to have them make like another game or something, like just branch out and do other stuff. Like we don't need Titanfalls every other year or whatever. Like you could sure experiment with Titanfall Battle Royale on Apex or something, or whatever, but we don't need another Titanfall next year, right? Like I would be fine if maybe we'll get one in 3 years or something. Just let them do what they are doing at the moment.
Yeah, good take on that, because if we found out anything with franchises like Assassin's Creed and the like, more time off can be a good thing. I mean, I feel like Nintendo's been showing that forever, right? I mean, people complained about how long it took between Zelda games and how long it's taken between Metroid games and whatever. And those games are always, gems. Obviously, Breath of the Wild, excellent game. And they, they don't release one every year. They don't release one every 2 years. So maybe they had something right over there. A lot of people like to complain about Nintendo for whatever reason, but their first party is gold, and they've been doing this kind of thing, taking some time between their releases to make it perfect, think up a good, story or a good, game mechanic to change things up. And it's always kind of worked out for them because they've, gone through and gone back to the drawing board and had time to do that instead of being pressured, by publishers like EA or Activision or some of these companies that just want you to just push.
And imagine what happens if Respawn, this game comes out, Titanfall 3, and it fails. Like if they try to rush it out, like what do you do then? So if anything, this put them right back where they wanted to be, an even greater, So whatever happens, there will be something with Titanfall. And I actually don't think they're going to get rid of the Titanfall universe. I wouldn't even be surprised if in a year or two they'd announce a third one, because imagine then, they implement some Battle Royale thing. Who cares if it's a copycat thing? It's working great. Millions of players, people are loving it. So, when you put a mode in a game that's like a really good mode, like a survival mode, it's amazing. So this is going to actually help them with the future of Titanfall, I think. So.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, I mean, it's getting, like you said, 10 million, or like Sam said and you pointed out, on the podcast, 10 million people have already played this game. Respawn is now very fresh in the minds of everyone, and even if it wasn't in the minds of some people, it now is. People who played Fortnite had no idea who Respawn was, had no idea what Titanfall was. Now they know who Respawn is, so they'll be looking out for the next thing. And if Titanfall 3 makes good on some promises and makes good on changing some things that people didn't like about Titanfall 2, and it is the next greatest thing, a lot more people are going to try it now just because they know who Respawn is, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, see, and I agree with Sam and Rick on this. I think that even if they had a shelve Titanfall 3 for now, and this is what we got, this Battle Royale game, it's great. People are having fun with it. People are loving it. It's a creative way to enter the Titanfall universe. It gives them some extra money in the meantime, some extra publicity, because we don't know what it's like to work at Respawn, or what they're under, the crunch that they're under, or any of that stuff. And all this extra money coming in and all this extra publicity, in the background, they can have teams working on Titanfall 3 as this stays a success. And then all the players on this game that now like the Titanfall universe will be more inclined to check out Titanfall 3, because Titanfall 1 and 2 didn't do as well as they thought it would do. And people took to the press and journalists, and the disc fiasco with the colors on the discs that were posted to Twitter on those discs. So I think that this is a fantastic way to reshape their image, their publicity, and get all the people to try this game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, makes a lot of sense. And you made mention about the pressure that they've been experiencing, that they've probably experienced in the past, I should say. But with this game, I think they've actually come out. I don't know if Zampella said it himself, but I feel like somebody came out, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you guys heard differently. I think somebody came out and said that this game was made with completely no inspiration from EA or no interaction from EA whatsoever. Like, this is a completely independent project that EA has been kind of out on, that they've worked on this and put this out without EA's help. I could be wrong on that, but I thought I saw that somewhere.
I heard, I don't know if it was true, but the reason why the microtransactions were good, in this game is because EA didn't interfere. But, that someone could have just said that just because,
Yeah. Yeah, I'll try to find that as we're kind of talking here. But I don't know where I saw that, so don't take my word for it. But I'm pretty sure that when it comes to this game, EA, at least if there was no interaction, maybe there was some, but not as much as in the past. So perhaps that pressure is kind of off, and they can kind of do what they want to do. So. All right, let's move on to the next topic. We got two more topics before we got to get out of here, so let's move on through here. So Xbox Live, I guess, is coming to the Switch, which is kind of unusual, in my mind at least. I don't know what they're going to be doing with it. I mean, sky's the limit, I think, on how much they can integrate this thing if Nintendo cooperates. But, Xbox or Microsoft putting their things or their games, their IPs, their platforms on competing products is not new. I mean, they've done that in the PC space, of course. They've done that with Minecraft with cross play and compatibility and stuff like that. But now, I mean, for a competing, I don't know if the Switch is even competing, to be honest, but to have a rival, I guess, company have your services on it, I mean, isn't that kind of weird? Do you guys think that this is a good thing? And what kind of impact do you think this has for gamers? And actually, this is a good question for you too, Rick, because I kind of wonder like what kind of impact this would have for like developers and publishers, and how they would kind of change their, you know, their attempt at making games that could be crossplay and get now achievements perhaps on Switch. You know, that's kind of attractive to some people. So what do you guys think about this?
I really am curious. You know, I love the whole cross thing with, you know, gaming, and this Xbox Live integration is kind of, I don't know, it's kind of wild. Nintendo, you know, they're very open to these kind of ideas. So I don't know. I don't have a problem with it. I think it can only help and be good for business, but I don't really have much of an opinion other than the fact that I say bring it on.
Yeah, I say bring it on as well. I think it's actually a really good thing. I think, you know, it's going to be very weird to get used to, you know, potentially like popping Xbox achievements on Xbox games like Minecraft or games that are cross-platform, potentially popping achievements, or, you know, showing that you're online, maybe party chatting while playing Switch games with somebody on Xbox. I think it's kind of weird, but I agree. I think bring it on too. What do you, Clown Assassin, you excited about this kind of thing, or do you think it's kind of too weird to coexist like this?
I just hope it works. Like, you know, Microsoft also gets like Nintendo things, like bring some like Mario to like the Minecraft version on like the Xbox, or have like Master Chief and Super Smash Bros. Like that would be so cool. Other than just having Xbox Live, you know, bring some Nintendo games, or bring, you know, I don't know.
Right.
I just hope they do something like that in the future. And maybe they can.
Sorry, go ahead.
Then maybe like, because with like Rare is owned by Microsoft, maybe like Donkey Kong 64 and, you know, the whatever, not virtual console, but whatever it's called for the Nintendo Switch Online or whatever, you know, bring some of those kind of games back too. That would be cool.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily a love affair that's going on here. I think it's just Microsoft trying to expand their reach a little bit with Live. You know, I think they said that it would get as high, if they did this move, it would reach as high as like maybe 2 billion people, or 2 billion in unique accounts, something like that. I think that's what's attractive to them. I'm not sure if it's like a
brand awareness. It's always brand awareness, and for dev impact, I mean, that means that more games are going to be made aware of. I mean, we may think that everyone checks out social media and gaming news because we do, and there's a lot of people that still don't. And, you know, so you even, I don't know, they're trying to target everybody and anybody. And you know, Nintendo, the truth is, it is more of a casual console. I mean, it just is. You try playing a third party on the Switch game, it's very tough to do that. So I don't know. It's more brand awareness, more awareness for even games and stuff. I just don't see it as you know, I don't see a downside, at least at this point.
Yeah, and if anything, this you know, this definitely opens up the Switch to be a target for, you know, xCloud and stuff like that, because you know, obviously, you know, xCloud is a play to get people to play Microsoft games for sure, but I think, like you were kind of suggesting, Rick, that it's probably more of a play for brand awareness in general than it is for people to actually play games, because we've seen throughout this generation, at least, that, you know, Xbox is more of a platform now and not necessarily a console, and people want more, Microsoft rather want more people to, you know, be part of that group, that family, you know, you know, fight that war in terms of getting your dollars in the ecosystem, rather than necessarily, you know, making the latest greatest game. Now, of course, they're changing that with, you know, with the acquisition of some studios that are making some great things. Obsidian, one of them, of course. Outer Worlds is looking great, but, you know, at the end of the day, they want to build up that ecosystem, and I think, you know, as many targets as they can get for xCloud, I think that's what the play is, and this is just another one.
Well, I think with this, I think it's good that Nintendo and Microsoft kind of both grow up to cohesively exist. I think it's a smart move for Xbox to put more services out there on other consoles, especially Switch. It is a more casual market, but it's going to bring more people into the Xbox brand as well, because you might only have some kids that play on the Switch, and then they're going to start getting achievements and want to check out the Xbox ecosystem, which is a really good thing. And as far as xCloud, I think there's a lot of potential there if Nintendo and Microsoft could work something out. And then the other thing too is that I posted a tweet, I think a while ago, maybe like a week or two ago, in our group DM, and I wish I still had it to send to Rick as well. But Indie Gamer Chick that I follow on Twitter, her and I are a little bit of Twitter friends, and she actually mentioned something on Twitter that says that Microsoft, Nintendo, and Rare are all working together to bring something back. So I think that this is kind of like a cohesion of maybe some of those talks, and I'm really excited to see what comes out of this.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very, very, very interesting. I mean, maybe you guys are onto something. I don't see it as such a love affair of like these three working together to form some like super project as much as maybe like some people do, you know. I think it's just kind of a brand awareness thing, but I'm
not sure if you're aware who Indie Gamer Chick is, but she's in the industry. She's done different things from PR to reviews. She's actually got a compilation disc coming to Xbox, bringing back some of the old Xbox Live Arcade stuff. I think it's Rakuka Studios. I might be saying that wrong, but they're going to be publishing it for her. So she's somebody that's on the inside of the industry, and she has friends at all the actual companies making the hardware as well. So she has a lot of inside knowledge. She said she couldn't say more than that, though.
Interesting.
It's Donkey Kong 64. I'm destroying all you guys with coconut.
Dude,
you heard it here first.
Dude, you're talking a big game. You've been talking a big game on this podcast for like at least a year and a half about how you're gonna dominate me on like Mario Kart and Mario Party, and I still haven't seen anything like that. So,
well, I don't have a Switch,
so it looks like you won't be using xCloud then on your Switch anytime soon. But one of these days, I don't know. Clowns, I know you specifically have been using has been using your phone and have been using like other devices like the Vita and stuff as like not necessarily cast targets but like remote play targets, and you've been playing like games here and there as remote play on smaller devices. Now, does it seem, Rick kind of alluded to it too about playing third-party games, multiplayer kind of big-scale games on the Switch, and it doesn't really go too well. Do you find that using the Switch as an xCloud target is going to be, popular for a long time, or do you think it's going to be like a novelty thing, and then once people try it out, it's going to be like, oh, this is too small, I can't really do this anyway?
I think it's going to end up becoming popular.
Yeah.
If they can pull this off before the end of the generation or the start of the early next generation, maybe on Switch Revision 2, I think that, because the cloud's going to do all the power, all the processing. So, for example, like you said, I've been using the GeForce Experience with the open source Moonlight app on my phone and the Vita. And even on 4G LTE, I experienced very little latency or lag, and that lag is based on my computer and my processing power, and I have an i5 and a GTX 1063 gigabytes. So imagine if you got like tons of GTX 1080s in the cloud or 2080s in the cloud, and they're all powering all these devices. It's going to be fantastic, man, especially over 5G. I don't think we're going to experience any lag whatsoever. I think it's a lot of fear-mongering that people don't want to move to digital. I think that's the fear-mongering, but even for my personal use with Moonlight app and GeForce Experience, it works perfectly.
Interesting. Yeah, I think more of kind of like what I was getting at with that question wasn't necessarily the lag, but that is a good point that I wasn't even thinking of when I asked it. I think more I was thinking of the experience of playing a game with like, the small, Joy-Cons and having a small screen and stuff like, Kingdom Come Deliverance, for example. Like, how are you going to play that thing on a 7-inch screen? You know what I mean? I feel like that's kind of difficult to play, like, involved like RPGs and stuff with, heavy menu mechanics and stuff like that, porting that down to a small screen, I think that's kind of going to be difficult. But
Right.
you feel like it's not, Clowns, from what you've experienced so far?
No, and just to give everybody an example, listening and Rick an example, I've been able to use the GeForce experience with like Forza and Sea of Thieves and Gears of War from my PC streamed via Moonlight to my phone and to the Vita, and I don't have any issues whatsoever with the menu mechanics. Only when I'm filming, because it's hard to film at the same time. But other than that, no problems at all. And iPega makes excellent controllers for this kind of stuff that are geared kind of towards like Xbox controllers. So the buttons are in the right place. They got the shoulder pads as well. They got back buttons you could program depending on the controller you get. And I think, Microsoft, Nintendo, and Sony can all take ideas from these iPega controllers and form a first-party type of hardware Bluetooth controller. It's going to be better for this and more fantastic, but no issues with downsizing, no issues with rendering, no issues with menu mechanics.
Interesting. Very cool. I mean, I definitely want to try it out, so I can't wait until this happens. But real quick, before we move off this into the last topic of the show, Crazy Greek Dude in the chat says he likes the idea of games like Rocket League, Fortnite, Paladins having achievements and save data linked with the Switch version, even if you have to purchase the game for each platform. Now, I don't think you're going to have to purchase the game for each platform necessarily, especially since Paladins and Fortnite are free. You may have to for some games, but maybe some games will be cross-buy. Maybe it'll be like xCloud, so it's, essentially cloud-based emulation or cloud-based gaming. But yeah, definitely a huge value add for the Switch, I think, if you can get some achievements on games. Especially like some indie games that come out in the Switch first. There's a lot of companies, especially you'll see it at PAX next month, that, some indie devs love to put their games on Switch first, and then it comes to Xbox like a year later. Well, I'm going to buy that Switch version to experience it first, and then, if I can get those achievements on the Switch version, then, I'm going to be pretty happy with that. But all right, let's move on. Last topic of the evening before we get out of here. Why are people still excited about remasters? This is something I just don't understand. I mean, we're going to get... Assassin, you're the one... I want to get your opinion on this first, because you're the one who kind of brought this to my attention as well. That, Assassin's Creed 3 Remaster, I know this was going to come as free DLC for... or included DLC, I should say. For Assassin's Creed Odyssey. That's already been let out of the bag, but Ubisoft has announced that on March 29th we're going to be able to purchase this Assassin's Creed 3 Remaster individually. I don't know what the price is going to be, but I mean, it's 2019 and this is a game from 2012. They released like a trailer for this to kind of hype it up and show what the differences are, and I don't know about you guys, but I looked at that trailer and honestly, I didn't see like 7 years of progression. I didn't see a remaster that was worth my time. I saw lighting differences for sure, and yeah, the resolution is going to be higher, but man, they talked about redoing textures. They talked about a new engine updates, all that kind of stuff, and honestly, I wasn't really too impressed with it. So Assassin, like, should people still be excited for this? And did you see good stuff in this? Like, what are your thoughts?
I think people should be excited because it also comes with Assassin's Creed Liberation, which was an only Vita game, I believe. I think it at one point maybe went to the PS3 or something. I don't remember, but it was an exclusive at the time. So I mean, now everyone gets to play it, which is pretty nice. But as for like the whole Assassin's Creed 3 and stuff, like, I mean, the game was good, but I mean, it wouldn't be as exciting like if like the original like Doom was gonna get remastered or something, or another older game. I feel like a 2012, I believe you said, game being remastered is like, oh, okay. I mean, we played it, but an older game, I think people would be more excited.
Yeah, I think the remaster thing is kind of over. I think it's kind of long in the tooth, unless it's like a really, really iconic game. Granted, Assassin's Creed 3, I think, is like an 84, 85 kind of Metacritic game. I mean, no slouch by any means. And, you know, if I remember correctly, that game changed a lot in Assassin's Creed to kind of update it and make it way more complex in terms of like the movement, the cover system, all that kind of stuff, like the hiding abilities, all that kind of thing. That changed a lot in Assassin's Creed 3. So granted, great game, but I mean, Rick, what do you think about microtransactions, man? Like, I mean, not microtransactions, remasters, I should say. Jeez, I'm reading microtransactions on my other screen. What do you think about remasters? Like, is that like long in the tooth at this point, or?
Well, see, this is, I don't have the luxury to just revisit games because I have only enough time to play the new ones. However, when you have a game like Resident Evil 2, where it seems to me and I didn't like look into it a ton because I already felt like I was sold. And by the way, on a little tangent, I was sold already because I do not like any, I haven't liked Resident Evil since 5. And I even have 7, and I'm still so bitter with how they changed everything. I won't even play it even though I bought it.
Mm-hmm.
Because that makes any sense. But Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 1, Code Veronica 3, 4 even, you know, and some of the other ones, I loved. So I think if one point I understand, they've moved things around, you know, with not just updated graphics and textures and better frame rate, but like it's going to feel like, and I think people have already said this, like it's a different game. And so that to me is cool. Dark Souls, I know they did that too as well when they remastered the game. They moved the enemies around, put them in different spots, made it even more challenging. That's kind of cool, but I can understand why you're not always excited about the remasters. And now there are being more games, newer games that are coming out now more than ever. But if they do it right and they give you a different, fresh approach, why not? Because apparently it's working well, which is, I think, the reason why they have come back so strongly.
Yeah, I absolutely love remasters like, you know, the Master Chief Collection, you know, what they did with Halo 2. I thought that was incredible. The Gears Ultimate Edition, I thought, you know, reworking that game and making it into something fresh, I think that was great. Your point with Resident Evil 2, excellent point. I mean, that, you know, that I almost would call a remake than a remaster. You know, it's just so different and so, you know, updated to what we'd expect in this day and age for gaming, that I think that is like, you know, definitely worth the price of admission for something like that. But like for Assassin's Creed 3 remaster, you know, the way it looked, I know some people in the YouTube chat are talking about it a little bit here about how they weren't too impressed with the trailer at all either. It's like, you know, it's almost like, why are you directing your resources to doing that in 2019 when, you know, you want to do a remake of the first Assassin's Creed, you know, the first ever release of it, you want to remake it and make it more relevant. I mean, do that and release it and sell it, fine, you know, pay homage to the fans, kind of like what Resident Evil's done, with Capcom's done with Resident Evil. But to just throw a remaster like this in, you know, I mean, it's a different story to include it with the season pass that already has other content with it, but to then release it separately, I don't know. It's kind of, you know, and rumors are they're going to be doing that with Borderlands as well. Borderlands, the original one, they're going to be redoing, like, or remastering. They didn't even say it was a rework. I don't know. Clowns or Assassin on this? You guys have thoughts on it?
Go ahead, Assassin.
On what, Borderlands?
No,
Borderlands?
no.
Sorry,
on
I was a little confused.
On reworks versus remasters, like, would you feel differently if this one? Yeah,
reworks, like 100%. Like I would probably, you know, depending on the game, obviously, I would buy way, you know, more than just a remaster, or, you know, depending on the remaster. Like not Halo Wars, Halo 2, right? That was remastered, and that was, you know, got a nice touch of awesomeness, right? And like that was good, right? That wasn't a remake, but like Assassin's Creed 3, like, or have you even played, what was it, Far Cry 3, when they did that with the season pass for Far Cry 5? Like, that game did not age well, and the remaster did not help whatsoever.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying I stopped because it looked bad, but I mean, I kind of, you know, already played it, and I thought it would look better, and I don't know. It's just, it's just an easy, you know, paycheck for cash grab for Ubisoft at this point. Raise the price of Assassin's Creed Season Pass. Be like, we got a new game. It'll be free for you if you spend like, I don't even know how much Odyssey's Season Pass is. I think it's like 50 or something. Like,
holy shit! Really? That much?
No, I don't think so. I think it was like 30.
40. It's like, well, I think with the bundle it's cheaper, right? I'm gonna have to look at the price, but it's probably just a reason to raise the Season Pass price to get an extra paycheck.
While I was looking that up, Clown's thoughts on this?
I think it's great if you get it in the Season Passes and it's free and you didn't expect it, or you're really just looking for the extra content, not the extra game. I think it's fantastic. I'm a big fan of AC3, so I can't wait to play it. Even if it's not a big step up from the 360 version, I'm still going to love playing it because I like the story. I had a lot of fun with it, so I'm going to have fun with it again. It doesn't have to be graphically intense for me to enjoy a game. That's just the way I feel.
It's cool.
What was that, Rick?
I mean, I'm sorry. I was just to say it's involved. It's not any extra, right? So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean it's included with the Season Pass, so that's why I'm gonna enjoy it.
The Season Pass is 40, by the way.
So you're getting what do you know what this is going to retail for, Inferno, separately?
They'll probably $40 or $50.
No, I don't. Maybe 40. Maybe 30.
I was muted. If it was $40 or $50, I mean that's, because it is coming separately. I think that's absurd. As part of the Season Pass, great, but remasters being sold by themselves that aren't even really they're up-resed a little bit and the lighting's changed. It is just a cash grab.
I wouldn't mind spending the extra $30-$40 to be able to play it on the Xbox One or the PS4. To be honest with you, I mean the Resident Evil 2 remake. Yeah, it was a remake. It wasn't exactly just a regular remaster, but that thing was $60, and I thought that was a little bit overpriced for what you got. I thought it should have been like maybe $45, $50. So I'm not concerned as far as my opinion is.
Mm-hmm.
Far Cry 3 Classic Edition, the remastered Far Cry whatever, is $30. So I mean, that came out, I don't even know when, but it probably got a price drop. So it'll probably be 30 or 40 for Assassin's Creed.
Well, I don't know. I think we want to hear from you guys too. Great comments so far in the YouTube chat. But if you're watching this later, hit us up on Twitter or drop a comment below in this video and let us know. Are you guys still excited for remasters? Are you excited for this Assassin's Creed 3 one? Were you impressed on what they showed off in their little teaser trailer where they had the side by sides with the original? Let us know, because I think the reason, like Rick kind of alluded to, and I think Clowns did too, is that the remasters are still doing well is because people are buying them. But in my opinion, it's like, just give us some new stuff already. Like, remasters have already been done. So many games have been remastered, and unless there's like fundamental changes or reworkings like there have been with like Resident Evil 2, I think it's time to move on. But what do you
real quick before we get out of here?
Please.
This whole new generation of gamers that might not have had a 360, they're going to get to experience it what their parents experienced if they played it. You know what I mean? So like it's going to attract a new generation of gamers as well. It's not just for people like us for nostalgia. It's people like my daughter who's never played it on the 360. She's going to get to play it on Xbox or PS4 if she wants to now, because it's there. It's available.
Yeah, but it's also backwards compatible. I don't even know how much it is backwards compatible. It's probably cheaper, especially on a sale, than it is to buy the remastered, if it doesn't really look any different.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a good point, Clowns, because, not everyone played this when it first came out. I agree with that. But I think the whole reason remastered came about in the first place was for the nostalgia bug. But, if it's fan service for people who have played the newer games and haven't played the older ones, then maybe.
I got something for you. Nobody complaining about Pokemon Nintendo Switch. That was $60 right off the bat, and more
Yep.
if you wanted the ball with it. And it's just a remake of what, the Game Boy Advance version?
Yep, that's true.
I bet it's Pokemon. I feel like it gets a slide more than Assassin's
No,
Creed.
you can't do that, Assassin.
I'm not saying personally that it gets a slide. I'm just saying other people. You know, like EA could be like make the best game ever, but it's EA. Like it sucks. Like, and then Ubisoft will come out with the worst game ever, and it'll be great because it's Ubisoft. Like, I don't know.
No, I hear you. Yeah, I mean, I don't think microtransactions are going. I mean, geez, I keep saying that again because I'm reading on my screen. God damn it. I don't think remasters are going anywhere, and I don't think that companies are necessarily gonna always get away with them. But I don't know. For me, I think it's kind of like time to move on. I think that. I mean, are we gonna see remasters of games in this generation for next gen? Like, are we gonna see that, or are they just gonna be up-res naturally? Like, I don't know. I kind of want the streak to end, but it's a good point, Clowns. I mean, not everyone's played them, or were around when.
Right after the show, I'm gonna run to GameStop, get Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze for $60 on the Switch.
There you go. Oh man. All right. Well, that I think is gonna do it for tonight for the podcast. Rick, really appreciate you coming by, talking all these topics with us, and of course giving us an update on what's going on at WarHorse and Kingdom Come Deliverance. If you want to go ahead and take this opportunity now to, give a shout out of where we can find you, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, you can just about find me anywhere with Rick5292, at Twitter, on Reddit, on Steam. But yeah, on Twitter it's just like I said, Rick5292, and you can find me going to all these sorts of events and stuff. I'll be going to PAX East, so it'd be awesome to see some of you guys there. But and of course check out KingdomComeRPG.com. And we just released a lot of content. We'd love to see people checking out a game with, as our slogan in the Kickstarter was, Dungeons and No Dragons.
There you go. True.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll definitely love to have you on again sometime in the future. But I'll be at PAX, so I will definitely stop by the booth and get a picture with whatever you guys have there. I know you don't want to divulge yet, but whatever you guys have there, I want to get a picture with it. So, so our names have been cycling below our pictures throughout the entire podcast. So definitely follow us on those channels on Twitter, Xbox. And in Rick's case, on both his personal Twitter and WarHorse's Twitter. Follow us on all those channels. And, 4GwQPodcast.com. Go there. You can find us also.
Well, soon to be 4GwQTV.com.
Correct. We're making that little change, and we'll announce that on Twitter when that happens as well. When that happens fully, I should say, because we're kind of working on that right now. Also, Clown's got his... Clown's got an interview that you're going to be posting pretty soon for the 4 Guys Quotas Presents podcast.
Yes, we interviewed Ruth Redman, who does coloring for Deadpool and Spider-Man. She's doing Eve of Extinction for TKO Comics. She's actually helped design the Marvel Legends figure for the Venom pool as well. So we're going to post her interview up. It is a little bit difficult to hear just because of the connection from the U.S. to another country. But she was really awesome to talk to, a lot of fun, and there's a lot of information there in that interview.
Awesome. Yeah, so check that out. That'll be going up pretty soon on our YouTube channel. Yeah, other than that, just search us 4 Guys with Quotas. You'll find us absolutely everywhere. And until next time, we'll see you guys later. Peace.